I spend so much of my time in Red Dead 2 trying to avoid committing crimes that I thought today I'd try something different. See, as an outlaw, Red Dead 2 usually allows you and encourages you to commit all sorts of crimes all the time. But there is one particular moment in the story where that changes. In Chapter 3, the gang arrives in Rhodes, and after a spot of classic Dutch manipulation and trolling, Arthur finds himself deputized temporarily. Beyond this point, we're given a radius in which no crimes are to be committed, so that the gang can maintain their cover. And because I feel the need to make a challenge out of everything, I thought it might be interesting to find out. What crimes can you commit in Rhodes when you're not meant to be doing any at all? First off, I want to give you an overview of exactly what the game restricts the player from doing during this ban on crime. Immediately, you are unable to antagonize anyone. You cannot equip weapons, nor can you punch or otherwise melee people. Hijacking horses or wagons is also off the table, and you definitely can't rob any stores to make off with the cash.
Hey, no customers over there!
You've got to be just about clean as a whistle while free-roaming Rhodes at this point. And for an outlaw such as yourself, the hunger for criminality might just kill you if not satiated soon. If we can't commit random acts of murder, if we can't insult, assault, and pour salt in the wounds of our enemies by stealing every last thing they have that isn't bolted to the fucking floor, then what can we do? Well, let me show you. Let's start with the misdemeanors. So this may surprise you, but I'm not entirely versed on the laws and legalities for the state of Georgia in 1899, but with some common sense and a few Google searches, I can tell you this. I'm almost certain that mass littering wasn't particularly appreciated. Cans of beans, broken bottles, and various half-eaten oatcakes line the street. It's an annoyance, it's an inconvenience, a disrespect. At the very least, the general public would be apt to beat our asses for it, and at the most, I can definitely see a night in the clink for this one. But perhaps just littering isn't enough to scratch the true criminal's itch. So how about some petty vandalism then? Not being able to punch or kick does restrict our ability to damage others and their property. However, one exception can be found in the Rhodes Saloon. Here, we're able to jump through windows, destroying the entire pane and frame as we go.
Well, look at this asshole!
Alongside this, we're free to jump on various different tables throughout Rhodes, ruining meals and utensils alike. Definitely enough to be thrown out of any business, and probably enough to be confronted by the law. But if you really want to seal the deal with petty vandalism, may I suggest combining it with public drunkenness? This recipe adds an edge to your status as a public nuisance, and if you're drunk beyond reason, your chances of ending up in the slammer for the night to sleep it off will almost double.
Lenny! No, not again.
If being a public nuisance sounds good to you, then you might also want to check out the local cemetery. Again, without being able to shoot, punch, kick, or blow things up, it's hard to cause any real damage here, but the disrespect alone could probably earn you a night in the sheriff's office.
What is happening?
So that about concludes the misdemeanors you can commit while restricted in Rhodes. It's nothing flash, you're not a serious threat or a menace to society, you're merely an annoyance, an inconvenience. You ruin people's day in a small way, and you may spend a night or two in jail for it. But these misdemeanors weren't the only loopholes I found in our crime-free Rhodes. And for those of you looking for slightly more serious criminal endeavors, you may be interested in what I found. So let us move on to thievery. Whether you steal for money, convenience, or simply because you're a kleptomaniac, crime-free Rhodes is strangely ripe with opportunity. I did mention before that you can't hijack manned horses or wagons, which is fine because that would be stepping into the violent crime category anyway. A real thief prefers to limit their contact with the victim. So it's fortunate for us that any horse or wagon that isn't attended in Rhodes is free for the taking. This conveniently includes the supply wagons stationed behind the general store. This bad boy comes loaded with all sorts of goodies. I'm talking oranges. I'm talking oranges. I'm talking like oranges. Point is, you're not only riding off with the wagon, you're riding off with the goods too, which means you can really stick it to that no crime rule. Thievery in the Old West is some serious business, and I could see some actual time in Sisika should you be caught for this. And for some, that may be far enough, because that's prison. Real prison. And we all know what happens in prison. But for those looking to push their thievery to the next level, it doesn't stop there. Rhodes has an innate criminal element of its own, something built into its very foundation. The fence. No, the fence. A sort of black market for stolen goods and illegal items, which is actually still open and usable for the player during this restrictive period. Should you decide to actually buy or sell anything from here, you'd be taking your work as a criminal to the next level. Buying or selling stolen items at a fence is a pretty big deal, and getting caught could mean some serious time in the big house. And we all know what happens in the big house. That's about it for thievery. The inability to rob and loot people in the town definitely narrows your options, but as you can see here, there are still avenues for the thief in a restricted Rhodes. The game seems to be a little stricter on violence during this period. It's determined to keep your guns in your holsters and your fists far away from anyone's chin. But for the real degenerates, the true outlaws who are equally determined in their quest to wreak havoc despite the new rules, you'd be surprised what's possible. Let me introduce you to the big bands. So I said before that melee attacks were completely disabled in Rhodes, and for the most part that is true. However, there are a few instances where you can engage in a brawl, all of which take place during random encounters. Whether it's the mouthy Lemoyne Raider or the evil Lemoyne Drowner, you can use melee to dispatch them. But beyond those few encounters, it's back to having your hands in your pockets, and the common citizen of Rhodes remains unharmed. That is, unless you start running into them.
Hey, move it! Hardly touched.
Oh, what the shit?
Move.
You could probably pass this off as an accident the first few times, but you could also certainly take this one to the extreme if you felt inclined. In fact, this could go from common assault to aggravated assault, and all the way up to murder if there happens to be a campfire nearby.
Why won't anyone help me?
That makes me real hungry.
Oh!
We might not be able to equip any weapons, but that doesn't mean we can't turn a vehicle into one. The player's horse, as well as stolen horses and wagons, can for some reason still be used to put innocent bystanders in comas.
Oh, heavens!
I don't see much point in restricting my weapon to its holster if a horse can still be crashed into somebody at the speed of a bullet, but here we are. Beyond a single accident or two, this deranged act of violence will either land you in Sisika or 6 feet under, because the law certainly doesn't appreciate this and they will shoot you dead for it. That is, if you don't run over them too. It's not like reinforcements will show up anytime soon, because any crime committed in crimeless Rhodes simply won't result in a wanted level. Okay, I found a way to shoot people. By utilizing the random event involving the gunsmith and his kidnap victim, you're actually able to finally draw and shoot your gun in Rhodes once more. And if you're feeling particularly deranged, you can just shoot the gunsmith and continue to have access to your weapons as long as you stay inside the building. So despite the restrictions, despite the break in continuity that a shootout with the Rhodes law enforcement creates, you can turn this dust pit into the ghost town you always knew it could be. And that just about wraps up all the crimes you can commit in this strange portion of the game. I personally will be returning to do the complete opposite of these atrocities very soon, as I now feel my soul needs cleansing. I hope you enjoyed this very pointless exercise. If you did, don't press like on this video. Instead, please stand in an open grave at your local cemetery until either the police come to arrest you or until a devastated family member clobbers you over the head.